Well, all the rumors are true. We are dragging the family-owned number 18T out of the corner to go racing this Friday.
Two-time consecutive winner of the Winter Showdown. Make some noise for the kid out of Jacksonville, Tanner Holmes.
Well, it is a beautiful Tuesday afternoon here at our race shop in Southern Oregon, and behind me I have the Holmes Racing Factory QRC number 18T Outlaw Kart. It's up on the stand because it is about time to get it race ready for the first annual Leach Cup this Friday night up in Albany, Oregon. That racetrack is about 3 hours north, and it is going to be the highest paying Outlaw Kart race in Oregon history, $3,500 to win. And you know, when you have a race with that kind of money on the line, my younger sister Carly and I are gonna make sure that we're there to support it. But welcome back to today's video. In today's show, we are gonna be getting this race car from its current condition to race ready condition. For anyone that is new here though, my name is Tanner Holmes and I'm an 18-year-old race car driver out of Southern Oregon. I mainly just love to go in circles and document it for everyone here on the YouTube channel. And the car I have here behind me is a QRC Area 51 open chassis, and it has a KTM fuel-injected 450 as the power plant on it. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm absolutely stoked to get to race for a lot of money close to home this Friday night. My dad is gonna be home from work here in just a couple of minutes as well, so he's gonna be helping me get the 18T all ready to go. And then also, you guys are gonna get the chance to work alongside me in this video as we get this thing race ready. All right, enough of the chit chat, let's get to work. So now that we got all 4 tires off the 18T, it is time for our first project, which is to maintenance our bearings we have here in our rear axle. Now these are specifically in the axle hanger, so in order to get to them, we have to take off the hubs, then also the wheel spacers, and then we have to loosen these 2 clamps which we have on the rear axle so it can't slide from left to right and we can set it in the exact spot. Now everything in this process is ×2 because you have the left rear and the right rear. So once we get all this off, then we can officially start maintaining the bearings themselves. We get our brake clean out, and even though brake clean really dries it out, you can spray it in there, get all the dirt and the grit. You can kind of see a shot of what the one side looked like before. But spray a ton of brake clean. We're definitely not afraid to spray too much in there. And then I definitely like to hit it with a little bit of air to get anything else that could possibly be in the bearings out. Then we get the tri-flow out and we try to lubricate it as best as possible. Spin the rear axle several times back and forth and spray a good amount of that in there. And then, like I said, also do that on the right side. Brake clean, air, and then right to some tri-flow before we put the covers back on to cover the bearings. Now also, since I had the tri-flow out, I figured I would lubricate the chain because that is part of our weekly maintenance on these carts. So realistically, in a short form, that was just a little bit about the process of how we maintenance the ceramic bearings in the rear axle. Well, the left and right rear are all done, and look who made it into the race shop. Dad, you about ready to roll this weekend?
$3,500, baby. That's what we're after.
That is what we are after.
That'd probably be your biggest score of the season.
It would be.
Sorry to say.
It would be. Of course, we would have liked to won a couple more races in 2021, but sometimes you have those years. You know the saying though, races are won in the shop, and that's exactly what we're trying to do today as we get this car completely finished up. We're gonna get it on the scales here in a little bit. Just did the bearings here on the left rear, completely lubed up, ready to roll. And the same goes for the right rear as we did the bearings. Make sure those are gonna spin while we're gonna be wide open. So Dad is cleaning our air filter. We're gonna run here on our KTM 450. Our next job is we gotta re-lubricate the bearings we have here in the front. They're a little bit easier to get to than the ones in the rear. Before we get into that job though, I want you guys to hear about the sponsor of today's video. Now, the sponsor of today's video is Grilling for Good and Race Day Rub. Now, Race Day Rub is a premium American-made barbecue seasoning that is 100% themed around racing. They have 4 different turns, turn 1, 2, 3, and 4. Today, we are going to be trying out turn 2, which is made specifically for chicken. You can see our chicken here on the grill, and here is a look at turn 2, which is also known as the slide job. Now, the ingredients on this rub are sea salt, sugar, chili, black pepper, garlic, onion, and spice. advice. And one of my favorite things about Race Day Rub is their mission called Grilling for Good. Now, Grilling for Good is a nonprofit organization that donates every single penny they make to local, regional, and national charities throughout the United States to help their fellow American families. I absolutely love the cause, and here is how Race Day Rub is going to be hooking it up for you, the viewer, today. Head on over to grillingforgood.com. Check out their products. They have all 4 turns on there. You can buy them individually. You can buy them all together. And at checkout, you can use code Tanner for 18% off your order. That's TANNER for 18% off. Thank you so much, Race Day Rub. Let's get back into the video. So now we are moving on to maintaining the bearings that are in the left and right front hub. Now these hubs just slide right on the spindle, so once you take the tire off, it's very easy to get to them. So once we get the hubs off the race car, once again, a little bit of tri-flow, don't really use brake clean on these. And my dad is pretty proud of how well they've been maintained in the past, so this is what he had to say as we were taking them off.
Now the bearings are going to fall out of because I've got these like dialed. Nope. See, look at it. Told you.
What? They fell out?
So good it fell out. Missing something.
So while we were working on the front of the race car, my dad noticed that the right front kingpin was bent, so we quickly swapped that out. You can tell it's bent just by how it was spinning with the Allen. It's supposed to be very smooth. It was a lot more rough, and it would only turn so much and then stop, and then you really had to yank on it. After we replaced that kingpin, my dad got his custom toe plates that he made a while back and got those out so we could check the toe. So while we were doing the left and right front, Dad checked the kingpins, and luckily he keeps these in stock because our right front kingpin was bent. And then also we got out the toe plates and checked the toe. Now this probably isn't the best way to explain it, but toed out for any of the viewers. If you were to look at the front tires, they'd be pointing straight forward and then just out a little bit. Like I said, it's standard to be about 1/4 of an inch toed out for the open class. That's what just a lot of guys go off of. So once we got everything all dialed in up front, I figured it was probably about time to change the oil. Now this process is super simple, and we typically do it about every 3 races. That seems to be a good cycle to where we obviously get use out of it. We're not changing it like every night, and that is what was recommended to us by our engine builder and KTM themselves. Now once we started putting some oil back in, we ran into a small issue. So we kind of ran into our first dilemma here working on the 18T. We're super close. We're doing one of the last steps of the whole process, which was just change oil and then put oil back in, but we did not have enough to fill it up to the proper area. If you look through the sight glass here, you can see the level and how much oil it has. And let's just say we were really short. You can barely even see any oil. So with that, my dad or myself will have to stop by our local KTM dealer, OMA KTM, which is actually a sponsor of our racing program. They've been helping us since the Outlaw Kart days and now are a sponsor on my sprint car. So one of us will have to stop by there and get some oil. So unfortunately, we will not be able to fire up this engine tonight. Well, about 3 hours after we started, it is about 6:30 right now, and the car is about 90% done. All I gotta do is slap a wing on it, and then also tomorrow we can absolutely not forget to put oil in. So I'm gonna put the 18T wing on right now, then we're gonna pull the scales out, check our numbers, and adjust to try to get exactly where we want it. Well, the scales are all set up. One pro tip, if you're gonna use scales, you gotta make sure you use them on flat ground. If you're not on flat ground, or even if we were on like the crack here in the ground, our numbers would be way off. Now, the reason it's so important to use scales is you can completely dial in your setup. You can see how much weight is on the left front, left rear, right front, or right rear, or even just your left side weight percentages, your rear weight. And then the last number, which is so important, is the cross weight. So as you watch that number, as we're making changes to the race car, when the number's going down, so lower the number, the freer the race car is gonna be, and then the higher the number, the tighter the car is gonna be. So every single time you're tweaking with adjustments, that number is bouncing back and forth. So once we get this car on the scales, that's gonna be one of the main things we pay attention to.
I lost 4%.
So we're about where we need to be.
But when we practice, it's going to probably be dry slick. So I'm going to probably be taking some stagger out and just running junk tires. And then you're actually pretty good right there. Maybe to me, just a hair. 40% right on the money, man. Okay, we're good.
And that right there is gonna conclude our day in the shop, getting the 18T all ready to roll. And that is also why it's so important to put your Outlaw Kart on scales. All the factory carts get scaled every week before Red Bluff and Cycleland. Let's just say if we wouldn't have double checked ourselves, we probably were about 5% too high with our cross weight. And so we made some adjustments to get that down. Now, the 4 strokes, like I'm obviously not saying our numbers exactly, but it almost probably wouldn't even matter if we did, because the 4 strokes you have to set up differently. They're heavier on the right side, which means that they actually drive tighter. So therefore, to counter that right side weight, because right side weight doesn't help the race car turn, to counter it, we have to usually run more stagger with the 4 strokes and do other things with the front end to get that cross number down. So that's kind of what we were doing, just to kind of get it in a middle ground, because actually we're gonna get to practice Thursday before the Leach Cup, and then Friday's the race. So we found a middle ground, so when we go out there, we can just try to get the race car a little bit better, but I think we have a solid starting point. Well, good work today.
It's a wrap. It's time to eat dinner.
I was gonna get a cold one for Dad for today's video, or to end it, but we are out down here at the shop, so we gotta restock. But successful day, 18T's ready to chase some big money this weekend, and we will load tomorrow and kind of finish our preparations over the next 48 hours. And then we will head north to do some racing. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with my dad and I as we work in the shop, and hopefully you're ready for the rest of the week, as like I said, we head north for the Leach Cup, Albany, Oregon, $3,500 in some really good Outlaw Kart competition. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully you are as well. See you guys all there. Deuces.